opportunities for us to win in life. I mean that.
And what I learned was the law of cause and effect. Now, the law of cause and effect is the great law of life. It basically says that there's a reason for everything. Everything happens for a reason. That success is not an accident. Failure is not an accident. If you want to be successful, happy, financially independent, if you want to achieve all your goals, it's not luck. It's not an accident. What you do is you find someone else who at one time did not have the effect that you want. You decide what you want. You find someone else who didn't have it, and you find out what they did to get it, and you do it over and over again until you get the same result. And it's not an accident. Well, when I learned this, it changed my life. You mean if I do what other successful people do, I'll get the same results that other successful people get? The answer is yes. You mean if I find out what top salespeople do, and I do the same thing until I master it, I'll get the same results as top salespeople? I'll make the same money? I'll have the same cars? Yes. So I went out and I did it, and it worked. The law of cause and effect is what changed my life. And by the way, I've been in many different businesses now. I've consulted for more than 500 companies over the years, over the last 20 years. And in every case, I ask them, how does your business work? What are the cause and effect relationships? And where's it strong? Where's it weak? What's working? What's not working? Where are the places where we can gain advantage? Where are the places where we're losing money, and so on? And they think it's miraculous when I come in with this advice, which I charge them a lot of money for. Okay, so what I learned was this, is that there is a mental application. By the way, of all physical laws, there's mental applications. This is more important than anything else. It's that thoughts are causes. Thoughts are causes, and conditions are effects. Thoughts are causes. Oops. Thoughts are causes, and conditions are effects. That means your thoughts create the effects of your life. Is that your thought is creative. You're almost like a magician in your own life. You create your world by the way you think. And the interesting thing is, it's not the way you thought yesterday or the way you might think tomorrow. It's the way you think at this minute, at this moment. It's the way you think in the now that determines your life. And your thoughts are constantly creating your world on a forward basis. The wonderful thing about our society, a free society like Singapore, is that at any given time you can draw a line under the past and you can say, that was the past, but this is how I'm going to think in the future. And your whole life, just like turning the wheel of a car, goes in a different direction. If you change your thinking, you change your life. And when I learned this, you mean your outer world merely reflects your thoughts? Your outer world is merely an image of your inner world? Is that you keep attracting into your life people and circumstances in harmony with your thinking? Is that everything you have in your life you've created by the way you think? And that if you don't like anything, you can change the way you think and attract something different? Yes, all of that's possible. And once you learn that, you realize there's only one thing in the universe over which you have complete control. What is that? You only control one thing in the world. What is it? You can control your thinking. You can't control other things. You can't control the traffic, and you certainly can't control the weather, but you can control your thinking. And that's enough. Because if you will control your thinking, you control the whole world. Singapore is a tribute to human thinking. Singapore is merely an external expression of the very best thinking that has gone into building this country. This country is based on mind power. It's the most amazing thing. Look at these beautiful hotels and convention centers and office buildings. I mean, these are mental. These were mental before they were physical. Are you with me so far? It's really important to understand that. It's kind of an overwhelming thought. I had a hard time with it when I was in my early 20s. You mean my life, which was not that great, has been created by myself? Yes, it's been created by myself. So I said, well, then I'm going to start to get my thinking in harmony with what I want, rather than keep thinking the old crummy thoughts. All right, so thoughts are causes, conditions are effects. Now what this means, and it brings us to the great law, which is the foundation of all religion and all philosophy, is that you become what you think about most of the time. You become what you think about most of the time. This is the underlying principle of all religions, all philosophy, all psychology, all success, all metaphysics. Everything is you become what you think about most of the time. So the question is, what do you think about most of the time? By the way, this law is always true, except there are a couple of exceptions. If there weren't exceptions, then every young man would turn into a young woman by the age of 20. But nonetheless, you do become what you think about most of the time. Now, by the way, one of my subjects when I was poor is I began to study self-made millionaires. Self-made millionaires are people who start with zero and within one working lifetime pass the $1 million mark. But here's the point, is I studied self-made millionaires. These are people who started with nothing. They started with no money and maybe limited education. Sometimes they were brand new immigrants. Sometimes they couldn't speak the language, and they made more than $1 million. So tens of thousands of them have been studied over the years to find out what they do differently. And wouldn't that be a good thing to know, by the way? Say yes. I mean, if you want to be a self-made millionaire, I can promise you this. If you don't know how they think, you can't make it. In other words, if you want to go somewhere but you don't have a map, you can't get there. So I began to study them, and I found, what do you think self-made millionaires think about most of the time? They think about becoming financially independent. Because financial independence to them is very important. They want to reach the point where they don't have to worry about money. After that, they will spend. What do you think poor people think about all the time? They think about how little money they have and think about spending everything they have. And everything they can borrow or put on credit cards. So self-made millionaires are always thinking in terms of financial independence. Poor people are always thinking about how poor they are. Now, if you want to become a self-made millionaire, starting point is begin thinking about financial independence. And I'll talk about this in just a second. So, go back to my question. What is it that successful people think about most of the time? Come on, this is real simple, but it's really important. What is it they think about most of the time? Success? You're right. They think about what they want most of the time and how to get it. Now, these are the two turning points in your life. Think about what you want and how to get it. What is it that you really, really want, and how do you get it? And that's what they think about most of the time. And if you think about what you want most of the time, you start to move toward it, and it starts to move toward you. If you think about how you can get it and what you can do to move faster toward it, you begin to see all kinds of ideas. You all know these things about the brain, but the fact is, if you plant an idea in your brain, you suddenly start to see all kinds of possibilities to achieve the idea. Successful people are successful because they think and talk about what they want. Unsuccessful people are unhappy because they think and talk about what they don't want. They think and talk about the people they're mad at and their bad experiences and their bad luck and their bad job and just shut up. They whine and cry about their situation, but successful people are thinking about what they want and how to get it most of the time.